Now, I'm sitting at the moment in the cabin of the of my boat. I'm calling it Cool Change. It's one of my favourite songs by Little River Band. And this is a fairly spacious cabin. The only problem with it is this. That's the centreboard trunk, which gets in the way of absolutely everything. Mind you, it is actually not a bad handy little table for putting things on while you're doing things, but that's about the only redeeming feature. Other than that, you trip over it, you gets in the way, find it hard to put your legs different places. But anyway, that's the way it is. So that's can't do much about that. My little lantern swaying with the motion of the boat. You can see that I haven't actually got much in the way of fittings and cupboards and things like that. I do intend just there to fit a little galley, a cupboard type arrangement with a shelf on top that I can put a cooker on, and space to store food and things like that. And also something that I really would like to have is a mirror just sitting there, because sometimes you do want to look at yourself, even though it's not a pretty sight sometimes. Now let's go outside and I'll show you the boat as best I can from bow to stern. Okay, actually you can see that I'm actually tied up in some weeds here at the moment. Last night I was tied up at the dock over there, and it was a horrible night, bumpy, kept banging into the sides of the dock, all this grinding sound as the rub rails sacrificed themselves on the side of the dock. I've got a little bit of a repair to do when I get back, but nothing that a bit of epoxy and paint can't fix. This is a picture of a little bay. Quite a nice little town. I went for a walk this morning and it's actually quite a pretty little town. Somewhere you wouldn't mind coming for a holiday on its own. There's a nice caravan park just over there. Now the boat. Okay, the bow, got the cleat on the bow. That's actually quite strong enough. Goes straight into solid timber, so quite strong enough for an anchor. And then we've got over here. This is the where the foot of the step of the mast, or the sleeve that the mast goes into the deck. I've got a reinforcing plate there as well, and the mast going up. It's an 80mm by 3mm aluminium mast, just a plain straight-sided mast. Can't really see what I'm doing here. There we go. About a 7-metre mast, 6.8-metre mast with a bit on top, so you could say 7 metres the mast, and of course my junk sail. Now I've tried to take photos of the sail underway, which is pretty difficult because it's very close, and all you're doing is filling the whole screen with half the sail. But anyway, hopefully someone will take a photo of that while I'm underway, and I'll get a nice shot that I can put on the wall. Here's the hatch, which I made. Very simple construction. I just reinforced the sides with some timbers, put a flat piece of aluminium on the side, and on the front here you can see just an angle aluminium against some timber, and that slides along quite strong enough, and really handy to have a sliding hatch, whereas when I bought the boat it just had a solid roof, which meant that we had to crawl in and out. You couldn't stand up while you're actually in the cabin, and that wasn't much good at all. So moving back, some cleats here for cleating things off, lots of ropes with a junk rig, and really can get in the way. I'm still learning how to actually organise the ropes. Oh, let me get down. Oh, okay. All right. Now, back of the boat, got some storage on the sides, handy for keeping things in. That's a fish I caught just a little while ago. It's just a carp, but if you prepare carp well, they're actually not a bad fish to eat. Anchor box. I'm going to have to work something out a bit more safe than just a loose anchor box, but there you go, that's all it is at the moment. And the fuel tank underneath the transom shelf, and my trusty 43-year-old Evan Route 6 fisherman motor. Starts beautifully, runs fantastic, hasn't missed a beat. We went over to Kangaroo Island earlier in the week, myself and a mate, and the only time it ever stopped was because I didn't open the breather of the fuel tank, and so it ran out of oxygen, ran out of air, and ran out of fuel. And then the rudder with the tiller, and you notice I've got a linkage here between the tiller and the engine. Just a very simple arrangement. I've just got clips, circlips, hose clips there to hold a piece of aluminium tube. Into there I've got just a little cotter pin, and then the linkage, and just a bolt screwed in through the tiller. A lot of people don't like drilling holes in their tiller. I couldn't care less, to be honest, as long as it works, and the tiller's still just as strong in my view. And a little boarding ladder. I just made this the other day. It's quite nifty little ladder, very straightforward. It actually works. Let me see if I can, sorry about this. There we go. That's a little boarding ladder attached securely to the transom, and so if I do happen to come overboard, I've got half a chance of getting back into the boat. I haven't actually dived into the water to test it. I don't really want to do that. The water's not warm enough yet to do that. But anyway, it's at least there to give you a better chance than otherwise. And as you can see, my cabin, it looks really disorganised. That's because it is. But really, you've got the sleeping part there on the starboard side, and all my gear on that side. We did actually sleep two in this for the first trip that we did over to Kangaroo Island, and it was pretty pokey for two of us. One, it's quite comfortable. You've got room for everything. So I think if we do go two up on another trip, I reckon I'll make arrangements to actually pull in somewhere and camp on shore rather than two sleep in the cabin. It's just too pokey. What else can I show you? Once again, the sail. And I reckon that's just about a view of the boat.